this meeting of the Alexander County Board of Commissioners into session. This is the second day of February 2026. Tonight, Vice Chairman Josh Lael is running late, and so I'm going to ask Ronnie Reese if he will do the invocation, and Kent Herman, County Commissioner Kent Herman, will do the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would, please rise.
Let's pray. Father, we come to you today, and Lord, we just thank you for the safety and all the things that you've done for us in the past few days. And Lord, we came through Storm 1 and Storm 2, and Lord, I think we came out pretty good in Alexander County. And I don't know of any major power outages, no major accidents. And I want to just thank our emergency services and Sheriff's Department, all those who help us each day, Fire Department, first responders, and all. Lord, protect them as they go through the rest of these days. And we're still not out of the woods, but Lord, we just know that you'll direct and guide everything that we do. Be with us during this meeting and give us wisdom as we make decisions that'll move Alexander County forward. Be with each person that's here. Give us a safe trip back to our homes. And Lord, you protect us. Thank you for all the good things you do for us. In your name I pray. Amen.
Attention, salute, pledge. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Does any commissioner have a report tonight?
Well, I'd just like to say a little word about our storms we've had. I'm sure everyone's been dealing with that, and you know, schools, I guess maybe they'll go back about the 1st of March. But you know, I've come to the point where driving in it's not too bad. Walking is what I worry about. So I want everybody to be careful, you know, in parking lots. You know, just be careful, because when your 2 feet go out, you're on your way down, and sometimes it's not a good stop. But I do want to thank again every department that's represented here tonight. Those that are not here, they're out working still. Fire departments, EMS, EMTs, DSS, those involved in the shelter that we had, and our county manager for the work that he's done, and you know, everyone that's involved in it. I just thank each one in the county for what they've done. As far as I know, we've been pretty safe. Hopefully it'll get up to about 60 degrees in a couple weeks, but probably not. But just everyone be careful and continue to be safe, everything that we do.
Chairman Yoder, I'd like to state that it's been great to see in person and then also on the media, social media and stuff like that, where neighbors are just being good neighbors. Some people are fortunate enough to have a tractor, and it seems like they take care of all the driveways up and down their streets for them. So just being good neighbors, that's just recognizing our public today, just being good neighbors and checking on the ones that might be widowed or elderly. And I've not heard of any bad reports. So that's just a great thing.
That's right.
And I think our DOT's done an outstanding job of getting our roads cleared and doing the things they need to do. And the other thing is that, you know, I'm impressed with the citizens. They stayed off the highways, especially during the ice. Now, traffic picked up a little bit when the snow hit, because they're like, it's just snow. Well, we had some of that Montana and Wyoming snow, because all you had to do was take your blower and go outside and hit it, and it just blow right off your car, right off your walkway. But don't let that fool you. It does freeze on the bottom later, though, I will tell you that. But our DOT here, of course, most of you know they work on a very light crew, and they do a lot of contracted services now. And with the crews that they had and the hours they put in, they did an outstanding job, and I just want to commend them. But most of all, commend the citizens for staying off the roads. Good job. And the other thing is, I had the opportunity to go watch Harry Gant be inducted to the NASCAR Hall of Fame. And Harry represents this county very well. He's one of the finest NASCAR drivers, as far as I'm concerned, that's ever driven in NASCAR. And he's always kind, very nice to people, welcoming to people, and always speaks highly to people when he talks to them. and he really treats kids really, really well. And my most distinct thing that I remember about him when my kids were small, I took them down to his house and took them back there where the car was, and he said the young man, I think he probably wasn't maybe 6, 7, 8 months old, and he set him down in that seat of that car, fired that thing up so that kid could do it, and that's the way he's always treated kids. And for that, I really commend him on that. But it's a fantastic evening and a chance to watch Harry smile real big and be just very, very happy and well attended by a lot of people from Alexander County. So I just want everybody to know Harry represents Alexander County well and brings a lot of recognition to Alexander County. And for that and him being inducted, Mr. Harry Gant, we do appreciate you. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, I would just apologize for my tardiness. DOT has done a great job clearing the roads, but I followed a tractor all the way up 127, turned on Highway 90. I was about 11th or 12th car behind them, so
Couldn't go nowhere, could you?
it took me a few minutes longer to get here than I had planned.
Absolutely. That's all right. Gentlemen, anyone else? On the adoption of our agenda tonight, on item number 9, we're going to delete that. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Item number 9, we're going to delete it. The gentleman from Raleigh, Dr. Jeffrey, could not be here. Item number 10, we have a change in the speaker. The speaker tonight will be Gary Herman because Connie Kincaid will not be here. She can't get out of her driveway. And item number 11, Anthony Starr will be presenting that as Allison Alexander was not able to make it tonight. She's a little bit under the weather. And with those exceptions and changes, then I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as being presented.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion is made and second. Any discussion? There being none, all in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, motion carries. Public comment period. We have no one for public comment period tonight. Item number 7, public hearing, economic development incentive grant for Jonathan Wesley Furniture LLC and Mr. Michael Worley, Economic Development Director.
Good evening, Chairman Yoder, Commissioners. Once again, it's my privilege and pleasure to bring to you tonight an Economic Development Incentive Grant request by Jonathan Wesley Furniture. Alexander County Economic Development Department began discussions with Jonathan Wesley Furniture in January of this year to express their desire to expand and remain here in Alexander County. The company is currently located in a 20,000 square foot facility at 5941 Rink Dam Road in Taylorsville, where they employ approximately 10 people. In their new expansion, Jonathan Wesley Furniture will be relocating its manufacturing facilities at 2696 Highway NC-16 in Taylorsville, which is a 46,000 square foot facility that will enable them to keep and strengthen the company in Alexander County. This grant will assist them in achieving greater efficiency and growth, and therefore increasing their competitiveness in a high-end furniture niche industry. The project includes approximately $3 million in acquisition and capital investment and is anticipated to create an additional 30 new jobs while retaining the 10 existing jobs for a total of 40 jobs here in the county. Based on anticipated capital investment, a Level 1 Economic Development Incentive Grant for real property and personal property tax will be in an amount not to exceed $58,500 to be paid over 5 annual payments over 5 years based upon appraised value each year by Alexander County Tax Office after the company has paid their yearly taxes. The grant is based on the company's projected total investment of that $3 million in acquisition of the new building, building improvements, equipment, and machinery, as well as an additional 30 new employees over the 5-year grant period. Actual tax revenue to the county will be based on assessed value of real personal property investment each year, depending upon the anticipated appreciation and depreciation schedule and timing of their investments. It is recommended by the Alexander County Economic Development Department The Alexander County Board of Commissioners award a Level 1 Economic Development Incentive Grant to Jonathan Wesley Furniture in an amount not to exceed $58,500 and authorize Chairman Yoder to sign the incentive grant agreement contract. But unfortunately, tonight, the partners, Shad Stringfellow, Logan Stringfellow, nor Tim Shook could make it tonight due to a loss of family member, and they're attending the funeral home at this time. So with that being said, one of the goals of the Economic Development Department is to not only work towards new companies, which we do, but also to assist our our existing industries with retaining and staying inside the county and equipping them to be able to compete in their industry and also to be able to retain new and existing employees. With that being said, any comments?
Gentlemen, at this time, I'd ask that we have a motion to open the public hearing reference economic development incentive grant for the Jonathan Wesley Furniture. I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we open public hearing as stated.
Second.
Motion is made and second. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Those opposed likewise, motion carries. As this is a public hearing, anyone in the audience has a right to speak at this time and have any questions, and we'd entertain those at this time.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say this is a good example of how, people have asked, how do we create jobs? I think this is how it's done. We have our EDC person, Mr. Worley, who's out looking, talking to people, and especially someone who's already in the county, if they want to move up to a bigger building, add more people, create more jobs, that's what we're about. We may not get the 300 or 500 employees, but I'm tickled with getting 30, 40, 50, 100, whatever we can get in Alexander County. That's more people that's working here. More people going to be coming through the county, purchasing, buying things, maybe even living here. So, that's a good thing. And I think, as long as we keep on that track, Alexander County will go forward and we can do some pretty good things.
That's exactly right. And Commissioner Reese, I'd like to step in on that just a little and say the same thing, because I think it's vitally important that not only do we try to recruit new business, but it's extremely important that we maintain the businesses that we have here in the county, and looking after them and taking care of them provides jobs for local people and those who may want to move in, and it continues to provide economic value to our community. And that's something that we need to make sure that we do each and every time we get an opportunity to try to help a business maintain their business in Alexander County. Does anybody from the audience have anything at this time? Any other commissioners?
I'd just like to say, love to see it. And, from the county's perspective, some tax incentives to me are tax incentives to me are a no-brainer to increase our tax base as well as increase the number of employed persons in Alexander County.
Well, gentlemen, at this time, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion is made and second. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, the motion carries unanimously. Gentlemen, what's your pleasure?
Make a motion to approve the Economic Development Incentive Grant for Jonathan Wesley Furniture, LLC.
Second.
Motion is made and second. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Michael. Thank you very much, sir. And it's always good to see good things happening. And that's a good sign there that our economic development corporation is open and doing business and doing everything they can to take care of the citizens of Alexander County. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate it. Item number 8, public hearing amendments to the Volunteer Farmland Preservation Program Ordinance. Pamela Bowman, Soil and Water District Director.
I'll move this
We're
down a little
glad to
bit.
have you.
Thank you for having me. So as it says, it's here for the Voluntary Farmland Preservation Program, for a minor update to the ordinance. Just a little overview, the ordinance was originally approved March 5th, 2002. So there was a recent large update, if you remember, back in June of 2023, that was approved. So now we are trying to make updates as they come in, so we don't have a huge update as we did back in 2023. This update is from House Bill 126. It amends General Statute 106-740, and it actually became effective October 1st, 2025. We missed I forgot about the public hearing in the 10 days, and so that's why we missed it earlier. But the changes required and what was changed on the ordinance. The law change requires that all VAD ordinances have a public hearing requirement for qualifying farmland. The public hearing requirement is no longer optional for ordinances. I believe we were already doing that, just as we said, but the conditions that trigger a public hearing must include rezoning requests on qualifying farmland. And the timeline for the local agricultural advisory board to hold a public hearing and provide a final report is extended from 30 to 45 days. And then the law change requires that no state or local public agency or government unit can formally initiate a condemnation or rezoning until 120 days after the date the local agricultural advisory board submits its findings and recommendations to the agency. And I did want to mention that we haven't had any public hearings about, other than ordinance changes, we haven't had anything, condemnation or rezoning, anything like that, for the Farmland Preservation Program. So this is not stemming from something, issue or anything like that. Like I said, we're just trying to keep up with the general statutes, changes as they come. And I did want to mention that the changes that you all received on the ordinance that were shown in red were done by Planner Amy Bucknam and approved by County Attorney Ben Falconberry, also the Farmland Preservation Board, and Evan Davis, the Director of the Farmland Preservation Division with NCDA and CS. Does anybody have any questions about that?
One moment. Gentlemen, as this is a public hearing, I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing amendments to the Voluntary Farmland Preservation Program ordinance.
Make a motion to open the hearing.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, motion carries. Does anybody have any questions? I have one. How far along and how well has this worked to make sure the streams are clear, and what's the capacity of our streams? How many have we gotten cleared, and where are you at?
I have that number in the office.
Okay.
We've done really well. There's still a lot of debris out there. So we are currently in the process of applying again for an additional grant, the STRAP, or Stream Restoration, Rehabilitation Assistance Program. And we are planning to apply for the CAP for that. I've talked with Justin, and we've talked with Ben Falconberry and Jennifer also, so they know. And since we've done it a few times before, we were not bringing it to the commission to approve the application. We were going to bring it to you when we know what we receive, which hopefully will be May or June. But this time we're applying for a good bit more. And the cap is $5. Well, I actually don't want to tell how much it is. Is it okay for like the bidders? Now that I realize, but that's not how much we're getting. But it's a good little bit. We've been told that we should get a good amount, because this actually is for Hurricane Helene impacts. So even though some of the sites, a lot of the sites were on our list before, they were made worse, or they increased in their debris from Helene. So we were eligible because we were a Helene impacted county. So there's less counties overall that can apply for this. It's basically from us and Catawba and Iredell west, right? So there's a decent chance of getting a good little chunk of money to really help our list go down. But, so that's not related to farmland preservation, but it does
I
help with that.
understand that, but
No,
I
I'm
wanted to
glad
ask
you
the
asked.
question, and it was a public hearing, so it's a question just came up that I wanted to ask.
I'm glad you
Because-
did, it's perfectly fine.
No.
Yep.
I would ask another question, but I'm not gonna ask it yet.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions? Anyone from the audience have a question? No? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, just
Yes.
have one, just for my reference and then for those that may be listening or hearing. This doesn't change any zoning of farmland. This is just to protect farmland, and if someone wants to make their land into farmland, it helps them to, and to make people aware that there's farms out there when they come in.
Yes, yes, that is correct. And basically, Amy knows a lot more about this than I do because she's in the planning department, but from what she told me, from what I understand, the county will not force anybody or can't force anybody to change their zoning, you know, if they were in farmland preservation. However, if they wanted to come out, let's say somebody's in farmland preservation and agriculture use, and they want to change it to residential or something like that, they would just need to ask to come out of the program first to avoid having to do the public hearing. And that's, we're trying to protect farmland, of course, but people have their rights for their own property, so it's not changing that either.
Okay.
But yes, this is not gonna be detrimental to farmland or residential land. It's just,
Thank you.
Which is one of those vital things in this county that we need to protect the farmland because we are an agriculture county. We really are. Anybody else? All right. Gentlemen, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. The motion carries. All right. And at this time, gentlemen, what is your pleasure?
I'll make a motion that we approve the amendments to the voluntary farmland preservation program ordinance as read.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much, young
Mr.
lady.
Yoder, I got a question before Ms.
Okay.
Bowman leaves.
Okay.
Pamela, have we been able to start getting signatures at the Register of Deeds office for the land that's been transferred? I knew at one time we were trying to get them to do that, so they notify.
no, our ordinance does not list that, or does it? I don't think it does say that we, oh, I know what you're talking about. Sorry, it's not on the deeds, but you're talking about when the land is sold and
It butts up to a piece of farmland preservation land that
Right.
they're notified.
right, that they're notified. They sign a form, they're supposed to sign a form saying that they have seen the map. And so, the way we have that handled is there is a map in the Register of Deeds office that shows all of the farmland preservation land. We don't ever see anything, you know, having to deal with the real estate purchases or anything like that. But I know that was an issue, because different lawyers, might not be in the county. But yes, that's the way that is handled, that there is a map in there, so they are physically supposed to see it. There's one in the tax office as well, one in our office, but we don't see those folks.
What is roughly the amount of acreage today that's in there?
It's over 13,000.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Item number 10, approval of 12, is that 18 or 12? I can't, 18.
16.
Approval of 18 West Main Avenue commercial tenant. At this time, of course, I told you earlier that Connie Kincaid could not be here tonight. And our public relations officer, Mr. Gary Harmon.
Something like that. That's good.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. Of course, like Larry said, I'm filling in tonight for Connie. She couldn't be here because of the weather. So we'll keep this short and sweet. So we're talking about 16 West Main. Of course, that's the county-owned property in downtown Taylorsville where the former chamber was. So the adaptive reuse rehabilitation is almost complete. So we're excited about that. In anticipation of the construction completion, the county issued a request for proposals, an RFP, for a commercial tenant. This was back in December. 3 people actually came to the commercial space for a site tour, as advertised in the RFP. Only 1 application was received, and that was from Kylie's Sugar Shop. That would be Kylie Wally, and she's in the audience tonight. Of course, she operates an established bakery in downtown Taylorsville, very popular. The application and the proposed lease agreement are in your agenda packet, so you've seen that. County staff has reviewed the application and recommends acceptance of the commercial business in the county-owned space at 16 West Main Avenue. So staff requests approval of the proposed commercial tenant and the proposed lease agreement. And I'll try to answer any questions if I can. It's not my project, but I'm fairly familiar with it.
Understand that, no problem. Any questions? Okay. Well, gentlemen, what's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion that we approve the lease contract on 16 West Main Avenue to Kylie Wally.
I'll second.
Motion's made and second. Any discussion?
I do want to say that it's nice to have a family in the area that is looking to move and grow their business and providing a sweet service to the area, which I feel like when folks take a bite of her product, they probably have a smile on their face. So I do appreciate it.
At this time, gentlemen, I'd entertain a motion. Or did we make the motion?
You had a motion.
Okay, I got tickled about you talking about
And
the
you had a second also.
I had a second, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, only thing I said to her was, I hope she makes more banana pudding, okay? All right, all those in favor indicated by raising your right hand. All those opposed likewise, the motion carries. Congratulations. We're glad to have a local business expand and do business, and we're excited about it.
I'm hoping I can bring a lot of traffic to Main Street, so it's just only a hop and a skip over, but I don't use my space now, it is, I can.
Yes, you can, come up here, yes, absolutely, I'm sorry. Introduce yourself and tell folks who you are, then do your thing.
Okay, I am Kylie Wally, and I've been making cakes for like 10, 12 years out of my house, and I finally got to grow into a little building on the street over, which is Main Avenue. And if you've been in there, it is so tiny, like I have a 200 square foot kitchen. And so I'm so excited for you guys to let me grow into this big space, and I'm hoping to put a bunch of grand things in there and tables and make it a very happy spot for people to come in and out of the county. My goal is to get people out of our county, in our county also. And on Saturdays, I have people from Wilkesboro coming in, Mooresville, Statesville, Hickory, and it's really great to see new faces. So hopefully they'll get to grow in there. But thank you so much for approving me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Item number 11, Western Piedmont Council of Government, Catawba River Interbasin Transfer Update. We have with us Mr. Anthony Starr, the Director of the Western Piedmont Council of Governments.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Commissioners, it's a pleasure to join you this evening. As I roll into this presentation, I want to talk to you about an important issue facing Alexander County and all of our communities in the Catawba River Basin. So we'll go on to the slide. What I'll talk about tonight are a few things here. If you'll hit the next slide. We'll talk about the background, a little bit about interbasin transfers, the Catawba River Basin, Charlotte's water request and impacts, alternatives to Charlotte, the Catawba River Coalition, and legislative study, and of course, answer any questions you have. So first, let me just start by saying thank you to the partnership with Alexander County and your support on this with the other local governments on this effort. But when you're talking about an interbasin transfer for the benefit of the public, I know you folks have already been really well engaged on this. We're talking about when water is removed from one river basin and used in a jurisdiction and then discharged into a different river basin, goes across the ridge line and doesn't come back. And when we're talking about the amount of water transferred, if they return the water after crossing the ridge line, that doesn't count as an IBT. It's only the water that doesn't return back from the source basin, which in this case is the Catawba River. And so these IBTs, or is the shorthand for interbasin transfer, can be harmful to jurisdictions losing water like ours. So what do the experts say about IBTs? Our team has been looking into this, and all the academic research says that IBTs are detrimental to the source river basin on both an economic and an environmental from an economic and environmental standpoint. And so the data shows that there's lots of research on that front that supports that position. Now, in the Catawba River Basin, we have several IBTs already. Charlotte Water, which is what this case centers around, currently has a 33 million gallons per day IBT certificate that was issued in 2002. Concord Kannapolis has a 20 million gallons certificate, which 10 million of that comes from the Catawba. That's the one you may remember 15 years ago or so that was a really big battle and fight to try to limit. They originally had requested 30 million gallons from the Catawba, and we were able to get it down to 10. Town of Mooresville has a pre-existing IBT allowance of 9.5 million, and they're right on the ridge line with their downtown. Next slide. So moving on, let me talk a little bit about the Catawba River Basin. These next few slides show information about that. So when we talk about river basins in North Carolina, this is the map from the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality. It shows in color each of the major river basins in North Carolina. The Catawba River is the green area there in the western part of the state. And then the red lines also represent sub-basins, which are regulated as well for transfers of water. The one thing I would note here is the Catawba River Basin is one of the smaller river basins actually in North Carolina. So the Catawba River Basin actually was completed and planned as the first river for electricity production in the United States. It has 11 different reservoirs, or lakes as we call them, over 1,800 miles of shoreline. First lake was created in 1904, last one created in 1963 with the completion of Lake Norman, about 3.8 billion gallons of water per day. But we only have about storage for about 7% of our annual rainfall, and that's important when it comes to drought conditions. It's used a lot for energy production. It's also the most densely populated river basin in North Carolina. Next slide. And that is really important when you think about the fact that the Catawba River is a threatened river. Twice in the last couple of decades, the Catawba River has been named as the most endangered river in the United States. That is primarily due to the unprecedented demand for clean water with the exponential population growth of Charlotte. And so that is the main reason why it gets on that list a couple of times. Next slide. And that really comes into play when you consider our drought conditions, right? You know, you might think that we have plentiful water here in the eastern United States, and we do compared to the desert states out west, but that doesn't mean that we have unlimited water, and it doesn't mean that we're immune from drought conditions. So this, go back to that slide, and I'll want to point out a couple of things. So this bar chart here shows all the droughts going back to 1998. And the way to read this chart is from the U.S. Drought Monitor. The higher the bars on the chart, the greater percentage of North Carolina was in that drought. The darker the color, the more severe the drought. So from 98 to 2002, we had a really severe drought, and from 07 to 09, we had a really severe drought. Now, why does this come into play for our drinking water? Well, this is a diagram we created, and you'll see here you have a water treatment plant on the top at the right, a pump station there that it's connected to, and then it has an intake there. The blue line represents the normal elevation of our lakes, whether that be Lake Hickory or Lake Lookout. And then you see a red line there that represents the critical reservoir elevation. And for our public water utilities, that's the level on the lake in which we can still operate. If it goes below that red line, the intakes will be exposed and we will not be able to pump water out of the lakes. So all the water below that isn't really useful to us for drinking water purposes because of that. Plus also there's more turbidity or dirt in the water, if you will, in the lower sections. And so it's more expensive to treat if you pull it out really too far low. So that is what is happening when you're talking about lake levels, is it only goes down, our supply is only what's above those intakes. Now, the 98-2002 drought was the largest documented deficit of water for some time. It was, primarily located in the western Piedmont. The way to read that map there, that's a map of stream flows. The pink areas are the most severely impacted area of that 98-2002 drought that lasted 4 years. The western Piedmont, our area, including Alexander County, was right in the center of that drought. Lake James in 2001-2002 could not reach target elevations to sustain downstream water. And really, Lake James is our Alamo. Duke Energy manages the supply of the river for all the communities up and down the river chain in North and South Carolina. And all those lakes are interconnected, and so they will flow water from one lake down to the next as needed. And so Lake James is our largest lake. It's also our last line of defense during severe drought conditions. Next slide. The 07-09 drought was the most severe drought ever recorded in North Carolina. And at that time, the city of Hickory was putting out statements that was trying to reduce its water intake by 20%. Lake drops had fell by 8 to 10 feet. Lake Norman had dropped to just 3.1 feet above its cooling intake for the nuclear power plant. That's kind of important because you need water to keep them cool. Meanwhile, Charlotte was continuing to pull water from the Catawba, and it loses 19% of every gallon of water it takes out. Now, every utility loses some water, but they are on the high side, and that equates to about 23 million gallons per day lost. They lose more water than any of our any of our water plants in our region produce in an entire day. Next. So Charlotte might say, well, this IBT is normal business. It's not a big deal. It's not that much water. And here's how to put this in perspective. Charlotte Water publishes its water conservation goals for extreme droughts and to reduce their water during those extreme droughts by 10 to 20%. Charlotte uses about 125 million gallons per day. So a 10 to 20% conservation goal is about 12.5 to 25 million gallons of water. Charlotte's potential new IBT is 63 million gallons per day. So Charlotte is proposing to transfer 2.5 to 5 times more water than it proposes or hopes to conserve during extreme droughts. So either Charlotte Water's conservation goals are not adequate or this IBT is significant. Next slide. So what are we talking about with the IBT and what does that look like? As I mentioned before, they have 33 million gallons per day they're approved. That was originally last to 2030. They're approaching that limit and that time frame, and they want to increase it to 63 million gallons per day. If you look at the map on the right side, that's Mecklenburg County. The 2 red dots represent their intakes on Lake Norman and Mountain Island Lake, and the blue squares represent their water treatment plants. Where they're transferring the water is across that purple line, which is the ridge line, into the eastern third of Mecklenburg County. And so that water, that side of the line, the water drains to the Rocky River Basin, which is part of the Yadkin River Basin. So the 30 million gallons per day, what does that really mean in terms of growth? Well, if you take a really conservative, meaning high estimate of usage, it could be more than this, And a 30 million gallon per day IBT increase basically means that they could plan to put about 300,000 more people in the eastern third of Mecklenburg County. Our whole region is only about 375,000, to put that in perspective. And that's their business if they want to do that, but we just don't want it to happen at our expense. So Charlotte Water's request has economic, financial, and legal consequences for all of our communities with this request. It has economic impacts. The research shows this. The population growth there is on the eastern side of Charlotte. You can see some of the data there. And so basically it's going to have a negative impact on us. We're concerned that at some point we will reach a limit and we won't be able to withdraw the water that we need to for our economic growth. Next slide. And to that end, all of our utility systems in our region are part of a group called the Catawba Watery Water Management Group. And that group's purpose is to coordinate and plan for the Catawba River Basin and its usage. In its 2014 water supply plan, it talked about the fact that we would probably reach the safe yield for many of our lakes by the year 2050. I will tell you that I think that we may arrive at that limit sooner during drought conditions because the growth projections assumed in those studies have been exceeded by Charlotte since then. At the same time, our team went back and looked at the data into the 1960s of the flow of the Catawba River. And so what this chart shows you on the right is the annual flow of the river. And the reality is the flow isn't increasing. It isn't even staying the same. The flow of the Catawba River is actually decreasing over the last half century. So at the same time, we have decreasing water supply. Charlotte is wanting to transfer more and more water out of our river basin. Now, Charlotte Water customers also pay, their water rates are more affordable as a percentage of median household income than 90% of other North Carolina utilities. So they pay less for the same amount of water. At the same time, they are losing 19% of their water that they treat each day. And what that chart shows you on the right is the affordability index. The black dot represents the median affordability in North Carolina. Affordability meaning the relationship between the water rates and the household income. The blue dot represents the average in our region, which is pretty good. And then the orange dot represents Charlotte Water there at the far left, meaning they have bottom line, they have interbasin transfer, means cheaper water for Charlotte and more expensive water for the Catawba River Basin communities. Now, we're concerned about the legal impacts and the precedent for this. The first certificate issued in 2002. They want to keep transferring this, and the more that we allow this to happen, the more it's going to continue to happen, and the more precedent, and the faster we deplete this resource. Next slide. So what are the alternatives to Charlotte? Let me show you here. So right now, Charlotte proposed to take water from the Catawba, use it, and then discharge it into the Yadkin River, Rocky and Yadkin River Basin. And that represents maximum harm to all the communities in the basin and maximum benefit to Charlotte. They have two primary options that they have identified. There may be others, but these are the two primary ones. They can take water from the Yadkin River Basin to avoid the IBT, either by constructing a water treatment plant or purchasing water from an existing utility, or they can return water back to the Catawba River Basin by discharging, using the water across that ridgeline and then pumping it back across the ridgeline with a sewer lift station or a series of lift stations into a stream that discharges into the Catawba River. And so that would not count as an IBT either. Next slide. So what this slide shows you is back in 2001, when they originally got their certificate, they looked at the options, and back then they said one of those two options would either cost $16 million or $82 million. And now they're saying, according to their information, both options would cost over $800 million to avoid the IBT. Now, that's an inflation-adjusted cost of these alternatives. That means between a 10 to 50% increase in the last 20 years. And we're not saying we accept these cost estimates, but even if you do, just for a moment, let's accept them as being accurate. Consider the fact that Charlotte Water, that seems like a lot of money, $800 million, but their annual budget just for Charlotte Water, not all of the city of Charlotte, but just Charlotte Water, is $651 million a year. They have a $2.3 billion in capital projects planned over the next 5 years. So avoiding the IBT, when you do the math, only requires about a 12% increase in their capital budget over the next 15 years to build the infrastructure to eliminate that IBT. Next slide. So they've not invested in alternative water source projects in this century. Consider that they also backed a 1-cent sales tax increase for transit infrastructure. Charlotte received $141 million in pandemic funding that could be used for water and sewer, and they chose not to do that, use for water and sewer projects. So the bottom line is that Charlotte pays less for water. They received federal funds for water infrastructure, but didn't use it for that purpose. They supported a tax increase for other non-water infrastructure. They have the means, just not the desire to pursue the alternatives for IBT and transfer. So about our Catawba River Coalition. This is a coalition of our 4 counties in our area, plus McDowell County, Alexander, Burke, Caldwell, Catawba, and McDowell counties, and all the municipalities therein. You and all the other local governments asked that the COG coordinate this effort to resist this IBT by Charlotte. A key step in this process at some point is that Charlotte is preparing an environmental impact statement that's supposed to identify all the impacts and alternatives, and they will present that to the State Environmental Management Commission. The EMC, as it's called, is a board or a commission that's appointed by state leaders that governs whether IBT certificates are issued, and they will hold a public hearing at some point in 2027 for that purpose if Charlotte submits this. Next slide. So our key points about this as I get down to the end here of this presentation is that our region's future growth could be limited because of these large IBTs. If we keep transferring water out of the Catawba River, at some point they're going to say no to our economic development efforts because we won't be able to expand our water treatment plants in the future. And we're not opposed to Charlotte growing, we just don't want that growth to occur at our expense. And we were telling Charlotte that the limited resources of the Catawba River should not be used to subsidize huge growth outside of our river basin. Charlotte should and can implement policies and infrastructure to avoid these IBTs. And then finally, IBTs could make the impacts of severe droughts worse for other communities along the Catawba River. So next slide. Last year, we were successful with this effort in getting legislation passed in House Bill 850, which enacted a 2-year moratorium on new IBTs or IBTs that were over 15 million gallons to be expanded. So that applied to Charlotte. It also directed the North Carolina Collaboratory at UNC Chapel Hill to study the issue and provide recommendations, and that's in the early stages now. Go ahead, in the next slide. So the study is directed, the Collaboratory is directed to study the current statutory process for approval of these IBTs and provide recommendations for legislation. It's also some other things there in that list that it has to look at. The next slide shows that there's a couple things, two key things that we're asking for. One is a provision that would be a shot clock, to use basketball vernacular for IBTs, to make them temporary. So maybe you have a spurt in growth for a community or an area and you need a larger IBT. Because smaller IBTs are practical, we get that. You know, it doesn't make sense to build a water treatment plant if you're moving 100,000 gallons a day or something, or even 1 million gallons per day over a ridge line. But once you get to the lot size that Charlotte is, it should be on a shot clock, and you should have to be setting aside funds to prepare for eliminating the IBT. Now, we also ask for a drought mitigation fund to be established, along with some other recommendations, so that if they do approve an IBT like this, they have to set aside certain part of the revenue, maybe 10% of their gross revenues, to go into a fund where other utilities in the impacted basin can use to make themselves more drought resilient. That might mean lowering those water intakes that I spoke before so that there's more usable storage in the lake, or it might mean providing interconnections between utility systems so that when one community is experiencing an emergency, it can turn a valve on and get emergency water from that utility to another. So what are we asking our coalition members to do? We're, again, continue to do what you've already done, which is engage with our state legislators with these key points. We'll have additional data and information for you along the way. We're going to ask that you respectfully engage with the UNC Collaboratory to share your local perspective. We will be following up with Mr. Mundy in the coming weeks about that to get you some information for you to consider, maybe sending a letter along those lines. And the last point I would say is that it's not an exaggeration to say the next 50 years of growth in our region will be determined by this issue. And so we want to keep this at the forefront of everyone's minds. With that, I'll be glad to answer any questions you have.
Mr. Starr, you kept talking about their 19% loss.
Yes, sir.
Where's that going?
It goes through leaks in the ground, inaccurate water meters, that sort of thing. Water loss is common for every water system, right? But theirs is high. And so the national average is around 14%. Some systems are going to be higher, some are going to be lower. But our point is, if you're seeking to transfer water out of the river basin, you ought to tighten up your system and have less water loss before you do that. Fix that first before you try to just do the cheaper thing and transfer water out of the basin.
Thank you.
So they're basically pouring water out on the ground.
In some fashion, yes. In some form, yes. The leaky pipes is a big part of that.
Well, I know here in Alexander County, we don't have the luxury of dumping out 19% of the water that we pay for. And I thought it was interesting that the Catawba River Basin has been placed in the threatened status several times, and that's all due to the Charlotte growth, which I'm all for Charlotte growing, let them grow. But I honestly don't feel like any county that is supported by water from the Catawba River Basin should be at their expense, as you stated. It's just like robbing us. And as our economic growth in any area is severely controlled by water. Simple as that. And necessities of life is oxygen, water. Water is pretty important. Do you know, or would you be privy if there's been any applications submitted for a new water plant on the Catawba River Basin in the last several years?
I'm not aware of any permit applications on that in our region.
Yeah.
It's possible that something is downstream of us beyond the Western Piedmont region, but I'm not aware of anything in our region.
You had another slide on your presentation. Over to the right side, it stated, I might get these words totally wrong, but small rural county means small representation at the state level. Generally, in situations such as this, the big bears win, and the rest is just, ate up. I hope people do bring it to their minds of the importance of these IBT, and hopefully legislators and folks like that and state representatives will not throw us under the table and recognize just how important protecting our river basins are.
Charlotte can afford to do the right thing. We're not asking for something that would make them uncompetitive economically. We're just asking for them to spend a little bit more to not negatively impact the rest of us. And I think we're on the right side of this issue, but certainly Charlotte has a lot of resources to throw behind this and get their way. And so we'll see what happens over the next year or two on this issue.
Mr. Starr, one other question. This was on some of the information, but my iPad's not wanting to cooperate. How many gallons did you say Charlotte is using per day, or how much are they pulling out of?
They use about 125 million gallons per day, just shy of 125. They lose about 19% of that, which equates to about 23 million gallons per day that they lose.
I'll say, And you, I mean, basically just, they're, if I heard correctly, they're losing basically 5% more than the national average,
Yes.
which I was just doing the math, equates to 6.25 million gallons per day. They're losing 6.25 million gallons per day above the national average.
Right. And if you're going to do an IBT, you ought to be better than average, in our opinion.
That's more water than Alexander County uses, or that's more water than we have coming into Alexander County per day.
Yes, none of the water plants in our region
that's-
produce 23 million gallons per
Right.
day, which
I
they
mean, but I'm
lose.
just saying what the, you know, the amount they're losing above the average loss amount, amount is more than Alexander County uses,
Correct.
way more than Alexander County uses per day. I mean, it sounds to me they just need to fix their stuff.
That's part of it. And then install the infrastructure to avoid this IBT, so there's a couple different ways to get there.
Growing at the rate Charlotte is growing, it's hard to worry about the old stuff because you're too busy looking at
New stuff.
the new stuff. But
And certainly when their water rates are as low as they are compared to the rest of the state, that suggests that they have the ability to
Right.
invest more in avoiding water loss and this IBT.
they could bring the rates up to market and probably handle it. Thank you.
Now, the one thing about it, water's gonna be the war in the future.
There will, yeah.
There will be the war in the future for water, and, so.
So I don't remember who told me, but somebody said that to me a long time ago. Said world wars will be fought over water.
It's a precious resource.
Precious. That's exactly right.
Thank you for allowing me to come give you this update, and thank you for your support in this effort ongoing with the collaboration with the other local governments in the 5 counties. I really appreciate it.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Should this IBT be granted, what effect will that have on communities building a new water station?
Our concern is that the more that these IBTs are approved, the faster we will reach whatever limit in the future that some state or federal regulatory agency sets. And so it does a couple of things. One is they're going to say there's too much water being taken out of the Catawba River, and we're not going to allow you, Hickory or Newton or Morganton or whoever, we're not going to let you increase your water plant size because too much water is already coming out of the Catawba River. And the more we transfer out through these IBTs, the faster we reach that limit. The second is the more we reduce the flow of the Catawba River, the greater the concentration of pollutants in the river. And so what that does, not only from an environmental standpoint, but all the wastewater treatment plants, and our water treatment plants, it increases your treatment costs. So it makes your water rates go up because of that. So that has an impact for everyone else because then they start turning the ratchet on our permits to the amount of treatment that we have to do for the water.
That's a good point you just pointed out there, because in relation to having to shut down our Bethlehem beach up there because the water's tested to not be safe, that's generally because we've not had rain for a little bit, the water's set there, and that bacteria starts to grow. So, I mean, that kind of goes along with that point of the stream not flowing fast enough, I guess, through to pull the contaminants out.
Yeah, I think it's about concentration levels often, right? And I mean, early in my career, I've been in local government almost 30 years now, I heard engineers say, dilution is the solution to pollution. And so the point of that is the less water you have, the greater those concentrations and the more problems you have in those situations. So when the flows are plentiful, that solves a lot of your environmental concerns.
I didn't know my granddad was so smart when, I don't know how old I was, probably 5, 6, 7, 8. And we were walking in the creek by Shiloh Church Road in Bethlehem. It runs right in front of my aunt's house. And he showed me where you can drink out of a creek and where you can't. And basically, you have to drink, the only place you can drink out of a creek is where the water's running fast.
Yeah.
And I didn't, like I say, my grandpa taught me that. 40-something years ago, 40 couple years ago.
Right.
Depends on how many cows are upstream.
Anthony, thank you for the presentation tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Appreciate the information, sir. Thank you. Item number 12, the 2025 audit presentation. And this is brought to you by Mr. Hildebrand from Martin Starnes and Associates. And we're looking forward to everything that I've heard. It's just going to be just an outstanding audit from everything I've heard, and I'm looking forward to your words, especially one statement in that audit.
All right, that's good to hear.
Looking forward to it, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Board. My name is Bo Hildebrand. I'm with Martin Starnes and Associates, here to present the 2025 audited financial statements. And we want to thank you for having us as your auditors again this year. So, touch on some audit highlights here. We are going to be issuing an unmodified opinion, and what that means is that we found no material in the statement that led us to believe that the financial statements would be misleading to the reader. And then we also highlight the cooperative staff. We appreciate Jennifer and county staff's hard work throughout the audit process. They always work diligently to get us the things we need and quickly, and they're been very pleasant to work with. I do want to note that the audit has not yet been submitted to the LGC at this time, so these are draft numbers, but we do not foresee them changing. We're going to be submitting here in the next week or so. The LGC deadline was extended from December 31st to February 12th this year, and that was due to the delays in the issuance of this OMB federal compliance supplement that we use to test all our federal programs. So the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, just touch on a few things with them. Over the years, they've had increased complexity in reporting standards. Just only 2 years in which statements were not issued. The percent of GASB statements, there's 40%. And this year, we had a new GASB, GASB 101. And so this factored in accruing benefits relating to vacation hours and sick leave liability. We appreciate Jennifer working with us to implement that. There was a rather large GASB to implement this year. So here I want to touch on the Alexander County's revenues regarding the general fund. At number 1, we have property taxes there in red. That's about 48% of your total revenues. Followed by local option sales tax at 26%, your restricted intergovernmental, which is like your federal and state grants at 11%, and that's followed by sales and services 8%, permits at 3%, and investment earnings at 3%. And then other revenues, very minute, 1% there. So touch on some of those large revenues. The ad valorem taxes here is a 2-year comparison. And I'm going to just approximate these numbers. 26.9 million last year, 26.9 this year. It's less than 1% increase, so very comparable to prior year. Local option sales tax, there in 2024, 14.5 and went up to 14.9. That equates to about 3% or 450,000, again comparable to prior year. Here, we're going to touch on expenditures for general fund. Total expenditures this year was right at 50 million, and the 4 largest expenditures for public safety at 34%, human services 25%, general government 18%, education at 15%. And then past that, you have the small ones there, debt service, cultural and rec, environmental protection, and economic and physical development, all below 5% there. So we're going to touch on some of those larger expenditure categories. Public safety comparison, 15.9 and 17.2 between last year and this year. Just keep in mind, public safety includes a lot of actual departments, sheriff's, detention center, fire protection, emergency communication, inspections, and emergency medical. And so it ends up being about 8% increase, and that was mainly increase in salaries and benefits. So next we have human services, 11.9 million to 12.3, about a 3% increase. Human Services is the Health Department, Department of Social Services, or DSS, and the Senior Center. And that was about $369,000, 3.1%, very comparable to prior year. All right, touch on education here, 7.6 million to 7.7 million. This includes expenses for County Board of Education and also CVCC expenses, about a 2% increase there, comparable to prior year. A touch on general government, 8.2 to 8.9. Governing body, this general government includes governing body, administration, planning, finance, IT, public buildings, garage, and human services. So general government probably has the most amount of departments in its category, about 8% increase. And so that 8% increase was mainly due to a purchase of a building and there's new subscriptions that the IT department that had to have for your software. So here we're in general funds debt. There's the principal repayments. This debt is to be paid off in 2026. Public safety, and as part of the governmental activities. And so at the notes payable debt balance at the end of the year was $652,000. So we're going to talk about fund balance here. Fund balance serves as a measure of county's financial resources. There we have the equation for fund balance: assets plus deferred outflows. You take away your liabilities plus your deferred inflows, and you have your fund balance or net position. So fund balance classified in 5 ways: non-spendable, restricted, committed, assigned, and unassigned. And for the committed, the example with those is like a project ordinance or other ordinance adopted by the board that does not expire at the end of the fiscal year. And an assigned example would be appropriated fund balance in next year's annual budget. So available fund balance is a little bit different, as defined by the local government commission, is calculated as follows. You have your total fund balance, but you have to take out the non-spendable or not in cash form items. You also got to take out your stabilization by state statute, which is state law. That's not available for your available fund balance. And so why this is important is that they use this calculation to compare you to other units in your population group. So here we have total fund balance there at 31 million. I'm going to approximate these numbers. Your non-spendable is 41,000, stabilization for state statute 4.4 million. So your total available fund balance 26.5. That was an increase from 24 of about 5 million. And this increase is mainly due to just a total increase in overall fund balance. So some audit results. So there you have it, the increase in available fund balance of 4.9 million. And this available fund balance percentage is 44.82% of total general fund expenditures and transfers out. What that means is that you have about 5 months worth of expenses available there if operations ceased or no revenues. And then again, that increase come from overall fund balance. We're going to touch on some of the enterprise funds here. Solid waste fund, cash from operations was about negative 30,000. Budgetary net income or budgetary net loss was 208. But although that was, the cash is actually better than from prior year, and there was a little bit of a decrease in that net income from prior year. So here we have the county water and sewer fund, cash from operations 2.8 million, budgetary net income was 242,000. That was an increase in the cash from operations, a decrease in budgetary net income from prior year. So total net position for county water and sewer is 28 million, or 28.1 million. Net investment capital assets of 12.8. The unrestricted fund net position of 15.3. This was an increase of net position of about 6 million. Okay, touch on the debt. As you have more debt here than you would the general fund, and that's not uncommon. The outstanding debt's about 9.9 million. There's your principal and your interest paid this year, and your debt's payoff date is 2041. So here are performance indicators. Want to touch on what this means and how it relates to y'all. So along with the submission of the audit to the LGC, we're required to submit data input report that contains various financial information that comes from your financial report. Jennifer has completed this data input report on the financial statements, and we have reviewed it. This report analyzes the data and gives out results as performance indicators. These range from like deficit fund balance, statutory violations, or significant findings. However, we're pleased to report that the county had no general performance indicators this year. There were no financial reporting findings, but there was one compliance finding in regards to terminal walkthrough at DSS, a very common one there, but this was considered to be a significant deficiency. So please see the compliance package when y'all receive your board copies of the audit report for any additional information regarding that. All right, at this time, I'd like to take any questions that the board may have.
Mr. Chairman, if I could,
Go ahead.
Mr. Hildebrand, I'd like for you to go back to the fund balance position, general fund.
Okay?
So if I'm seeing this correctly, we actually added money to the fund balance. We didn't take any money from the fund balance.
So yes, but it's a little bit, a little bit more of a complex answer, as what certain revenues and fund balance can be used for. But overall, there was a,
But
you
in
know,
the end, we
increase.
did
Yes,
nothing negative.
correct,
Yeah.
correct, yes. You did not have nothing took away from fund balance in total. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Hildebrand, question, same slide or same information. Can you explain the stabilization by state statute?
Yes, so stabilization by state statute, in a nutshell, it's your accounts receivable, what you're going to, basically you gotta have that restricted by the state for how your accounts receivable is more or less the same number.
Okay. So it's basically money.
So it's like funds you're expected to receive, but you don't have yet.
I was gonna say, so it's,
Yes,
so we're looking at it at basically an accrual basis instead of cash basis. I mean, in theory. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Hildebrand, you stated that the county had 5 months, give or take, the funds to run with, from our general fund account.
yes, sir.
Is there a certain amount of months that you're supposed to keep on hand?
So the required amount is about 8%. That they want you at least, that's at the bare minimum that they want you to have.
How many counties does Martin Starnes audit for?
Don't have the number off the top of my head, but it's double digits for sure.
How many counties do you audit for? Just curious.
Yeah, my team this year is 3.
30?
3.
Three?
Yeah, I had pleasure of working for 3 counties this year.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, sir. And they have you have a comparison out there on the certain websites to show kind of where Alexander falls with this population group. They have statistics based off all these reports.
I'm sure you've already looked at that. How do we fall? Favorable or not?
I haven't looked specifically for y'all on that one. But that's always something in the future we can give the board.
I
Or
think
if you
it'd
want to,
be,
if you want to
good
include
info
it,
to have on future reports.
or if that's something y'all desire to have on your presentation, we can always add a few more slides.
We want to know if we're beating other teams or not. You know, if we're winning our games.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Point being is you look at our budget and see what we have done. We've done an outstanding job of being conservative with the money of the county and setting money aside into the fund balance in case this county would ever have a catastrophic event, that we'd be able to help our citizens rebuild.
Yes, sir.
So we've done a real good job of taking care of the public's money.
Yeah, you
That's
have-
what I'm saying, based on the fact that we got 44.82% fund balance, which is real good, and I can remember a time when it was down to 1.7 or 3.7, and I was on the board sitting right where Kent Herman's sitting, the very last seat. And we couldn't get any money whatsoever because the LGC wouldn't allow us to do anything for 4 years. I sat here as a county commissioner and went, well, we can't do that right now. Nope, can't put any water lines in because we don't have the money. But we're in a fantastic financial shape, and if you go back and compare where it was several years ago, which is more than I'd like to talk about, but you go back and compare that then to where we are now, this county's in fantastic financial shape, and you probably do not go back that far, but I know that our financial lady, she knows, because I see that big smile on her face, she remembers. Because I got the letter from the LGC, and I know what it's like to sit here as a county commissioner and not have any money. And this is a fantastic report as far as I am concerned with everything that we've done. So thank you very much for a great report. And I want to thank these commissioners for the job they've done, and for our finance director for taking her little hammer that she holds and says, you can or cannot do this, I will keep you straight. And this young lady and her staff has done an outstanding job. And you guys always do a great job with our audit report and everything.
Thank you, Chairman.
So thank you all, every one of you. I mean, everybody working together has made sure this county's in great financial stability. And thank you. And we appreciate the great, fantastic report.
Thank you, Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to echo a little bit on that too. I know when I came on, and I'm sure Mr. Lael can remember also, and Larry was there, I think we had maybe a 10% fund balance.
Yes.
And that's one thing that we've kind of put on I have no personal agenda. My agenda's been to increase that, and I think we've done a pretty good job considering we came through a pandemic. We've, built some buildings in the county. We've got a park. We've moved services to the middle of town, and all these things are paid for. And it looks like we're gonna be, as far as the detention center, out of debt there. So, I think from 10% to about 45%, that's a pretty good increase in the fund balance, in the time that we've come through it. But all of us are working to, to help that budget. And I think Jennifer Herman and her staff also for the work they do by reminding us what we can do. But, budget's something you work on every day. That's what I tell people. So I appreciate your company and what you've done for us. Thank you.
One question, has the debt service,
I
Has
was
that
just
check
getting
been
ready
sent
to
out?
say, if you don't mind, sir, not interrupt you, okay? As of January the 31st, 2026, Jennifer, you correct me if I'm wrong, and I do not mind standing being corrected. Alexander County government is debt-free. In the general fund. Yeah, but that's a separate fund. We don't touch that. Water and sewer fund is set up so that revenue goes back in to expand water and sewer, and that's what we do with it. But as a whole, Alexander County government is debt-free, other than our water and sewer, correct? Thank you. That's all I wanted to hear. Fantastic, and there's not many counties that can say that.
No, sir.
Thank you very much. I think
Mr. Chairman, may I make?
Go
can I
ahead.
make one comment I'd like to make. My dad used to say, if you don't mind, cripple it and run it by me again, which means you missed with the first shot.
We're debt-free.
We are debt-free. But one thing that I didn't understand for a good while, even after I was a commissioner, pertaining to county budgets, is, we have the general fund budget, then we have, water and sewer fund, and we have a, what's the other one called?
Fund balance. Fund balance.
No. The other enterprise fund.
Solid waste.
Solid waste. There, yes, ma'am, sorry about that. But anyway, the water and sewer fund and solid waste fund are enterprise funds. And please correct me if I misstate something. And with an enterprise fund, those funds can legally make money, charge for their services. But that money that is generated by those operations can only go back into those operations. It's not like we can charge a lot of money for water and then just say, okay, hey, we're gonna take that money and put it in the general budget, which is gonna allow us to do something we weren't planning on doing or reduce tax rate or anything like that. The money generated from water and sewer goes back into water and sewer. The example being, we've got a water tower under construction right now. Stuff like that, which is gonna
Forks Church Road project.
yeah, we've got Three Forks Church Road water expansion going on. That's what that money goes to, and so that money is restricted in how it can be used. Same thing with solid waste. And the solid waste fund, we lost money in 2025 per the audit. And if it was completely up to me, there would be some changes made to where that wasn't the case. But we try to be as good to the people as we can possibly be. But anyway, I just wanted to clarify, if the water and sewer fund has debt, it is it's almost like it's a separate company almost, in that the operations, what's generated and what is owed is completely separate from the general government or, general budget
Yes.
monies. I'll hush now.
Mr. Chairman, can I say one thing?
Yes, sir, you may.
Thank you, Bo, for the presentation tonight, and thank you to your company, Martin Starnes, for the audit. I just wanted to reiterate, thank you, Jennifer Herman, and your finance staff for a job well done. She is a wizard and an expert, so I can't say thank you enough, and I appreciate her greatly. And I think Mr. Pennell was asking about, what does the state like for you to have? And basically, it's 1 month of savings that they like for you to have. And Alexander County's in a great position, which we have over 5 months of savings in our fund balance. So basically, we have 5 times the amount that you should have and the state wants you to have. So I just wanted to reiterate that this county doesn't waste money, and we're in a good financial situation right now. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Mr. Hildebrand, was there anything you asked for from our employees that you didn't receive or you had problems getting? And is there anything we should have asked you that we haven't asked of you during this audit?
No, we have a period of feedback with Jennifer that we do. We have a exit meeting, so to speak. But no, sir, we had very cooperative staff this year. I know she had a new assistant come on this year, and she was fantastic. And we still got the audits done in its allotted time. And like I said, the extension was only due to the federal government. It wasn't anything to do with anyone in Alexander County. And no, sir, we didn't come across anything. I think y'all are doing a fantastic job. Appreciate y'all answering those audit inquiries that we send out, occasionally, or at least once a year. So just continue, and, if you have any concerns, let us know, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for a very good report. We appreciate your work.
Mr. Chairman, can I say one more thing?
Yes.
Along those lines, just to let everybody know, with the audit once a year, we receive, I guess you'd say a questionnaire, but basically, each county commissioner is audited, in essence, as part of the county audit, checking for anything that would smell funny or could potentially be, what's the term for just
Conflict.
Yeah, anything that could be a conflict of interest, anything, you know, anything like that. And so, just to let everybody, just to let the general public know, we are, you know, we are part of the audit, just like, you know, just like the departments. Obviously, we're not as important a part because we're not big money. But just wanted to share that information. Hadn't ever really thought about that before. I just always fill it out and send it back in. But anyway, we appreciate you.
Okay, thank you.
Gentlemen, at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the audit as presented.
Make a motion to approve the audit as given.
Second.
Motion made second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed likewise, motion carries. Thank you very much. Item number 13, budget ordinance amendments, number 20 through 23. Mr. Justin Mundy, County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So there's 4 amendments in front of you tonight. The first one being number 20, Budget Ordinance Amendment. This is to increase the Sheriff's Office budget for Governor's Crime Commission grant for the Viper Radio Update Project. And it's also to increase detention center budget for estimated medical supplies and inmate medical bills for the remainder of the fiscal year 26 budget year, including a single invoice for over $18,000. Budget Ordinance Amendment number 21. This is to budget for closeout of the STRAP Round 2 Grant Project Fund and reimburse the general fund for the grant administration costs incurred by the Soil and Water Department for the county administered project. Number 22 is to budget for true-up adjustments to pay out the June 30th, 2025 fund balance amounts of the fire districts. That's just a normal annual budget. And then number 23 is to budget for closeout of the Paragon Films Rail Project Fund and transfer remaining cash balance of local funds back to the general fund. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions at this time? Gentlemen, I'd entertain a motion to approve the budget amendments.
I make a motion, we approve budget ordinance amendments 20 through 23 as presented.
Do we have a second? Motion's made and seconded. Any further discussion?
Is there not a way to make inmates have health insurance?
I think they tried to get,
I mean,
they tried to get Medicaid for them one time, so they'd be on Medicaid, so that Medicaid would pay the bill, but we went through that, because at times we've even paid for open heart surgery.
because I dare say most taxpayers do not know that, you know, that we're all helping pay inmates' medical expenses.
Yes.
But we are.
We are.
Sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I've had that discussion about Medicaid before, you know.
Well, not just Medicaid, but yeah, just.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, the motion carries. Thank you very much, gentlemen. The consent agenda, Mr. Justin Mundy, County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So on the consent agenda before you tonight, we have some tax abatements and adjustments in the amount of $8,618.12 and tax refunds in the amount of $21,514.77. And this is for the period of December 29th, 2025 through January 22nd, 2026. We also have some minutes from the January 5th board meeting. We also have some board and committee appointments for the Juvenile Crime Prevention Council. And then we also have a line item transfer report for December 31, 2025 through January 22nd, 2026. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, gentlemen? There being none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's made and second. Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor indicate by raising your right hand. Those opposed likewise, the motion carries. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Item number 15, closed session. Mr. Ben Falconberry, County Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I ask for a motion to go into closed session pursuant to General Statute 143-318 to establish or to instruct county staff on negotiating positions to be taken by the county in material terms of a contract for the proposed acquisition of real property.
Make a motion to go into closed session, per what you said.
The motion, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor indicate raising your right hand. Thank you. Gentlemen, we will reconvene for the primary purpose of,
I do not anticipate any further action, so.
right.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you very much.